What is happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1 of the Don Diaries. I am so buzzing to be rolling out my very own podcast. This has been something that I've been saying for years, to be honest with you, that I've always wanted to do. And now is the time to actually take action, to stop talking. Obviously, I will be talking in the podcast, but it's the time to stop talking, start taking action, and to just go for it. I'm like proper buzzing for it. And everything's been a wee bit of a whirlwind the past couple of weeks, to be honest, because I feel like everything's just kind of came about in the past couple of weeks. I'm literally just back from a holiday in Dubai, and I feel like it did give me a lot of time to kind of like go away and think, back home here, everything's so all over the place, and I've been having 1,000,001 thoughts going through my head 24/7, so it was good taking myself away from that and actually allowing myself to have a bit of time to think. And when I was over there, I'm like, do you know what, it's time to stop talking and actually start doing, and let's get this podcast in motion. So yeah, the past couple of weeks have been life changing. This is going to sound weird, but I genuinely feel like I went to Dubai as a boy and I left as a man. Honestly, a 2-week holiday to Dubai, imagine that. But beforehand, if you remember, I used to have curly hair. I went over there, I was like, fuck it, I'm shaving my head. Like, I just started a podcast, everything. It was a good couple of weeks, and it's time to get into things. So couldn't be more buzzing right away to kick off the podcast and to celebrate the launch of Don Diaries. We're going to be doing a giveaway. So if you want to be in with the chance to win a £200 My Protein voucher, all you need to do is follow these 3 very simple steps. You need to like this post, you need to be following _ the Don Diaries and at Adam Donnelly Fitness, and share the post to your story, and the winner will be getting announced this Friday. So if you're watching this podcast in the future and you're right back to episode 1, I'm sorry, because you're not going to win probably, alright? So this podcast is going to be, majority of the time a guest podcast. I'm going to be getting a variety of different guests on that are in a variety of different, areas and subjects, and I really want to dive deeper into them as a person, understand what their kind of early life was like, when they were growing up, learning about how they've got into this position and the situation that they're in just now, and really diving a wee bit deeper into that person as a whole. And that's not to sound like, this is going to be a super serious kind of business related podcast. It's definitely not. Like, I'm going to obviously have a laugh with it as well when I have guests on, and yeah, I just want to kind of dive, really deep, have good conversations with people as well, because I'm one of these guys that, like, see, when I'm interested in something, I am seriously interested in it, and I want to find out more information, more details about it as well. So yeah, I'm super excited. I've got a lot of big guests lined up already for the beginning of the podcast, and yeah, I couldn't be more excited to start it. Also as well, I want to try and kind of make this podcast interactive. I recognise that, I'll probably be getting guests on that some of you guys, look up to, and that you've maybe wanted to ask questions to or anything like that. I'll be releasing who the guests are, and then I'll be asking you to ask them questions. I'll pick out the best ones, and I'll be asking them here live on the podcast as well. Also, the Don Diaries, alright, I want to quickly talk about the name. First of all, I just thought it rolled off the tongue really nicely, nice wee alliteration in there. But yeah, the Don Diaries, it's because I want to get, deep and personal with people, deep and personal with my guests. So I almost kind of want to hear what they would have wrote down in like a diary entry, alright? So that's why at the end of every podcast as well, I'm going to have a question of the week, and it'll be like a diary entry where you need to go and ask the question, write your diary entry, and then again send it into the podcast with a chance of it getting read out by me and by the guests that I have on as well. I'm going to be doing seasons as well, so roughly about 8 episodes to a season, so there'll be plenty of guests on. Obviously, if there's any guests that you want to see on as well, please text me, DM me on my Instagram, and I'll try my absolute best to get them on as well, guys. Now, let's get into the podcast. I want to take you back to the start, alright? Like, why am I actually doing this podcast? Now, in my early life, from honestly as long as I can remember, like nursery, primary school, high school, I've literally been told the same thing. I was never really like misbehaved in school. Like, don't get me wrong, I was a bit of a kind of class clown, and I would try and show off to a lot of people as well, but I was never like, purposely kind of mischievous or anything. However, the one thing that I was a chatty bastard. Right, I was a chatty bastard. Like, no matter who you sat me next to in school, I would just chat to them. And my mum and dad, every parents' night, they get told the exact same thing: Mr. and Mrs. Donnelly, it just doesn't matter who we sit them next to, he will talk to them. So they found out, you know, that there was really no winning. There was really no winning with me. So yeah, I've always been like that. Like, anybody that knows me knows that I can kind of talk to a brick wall, and I'm pretty chatty as well. So do you know what? I was like that. It's time to put that to good use. So, like I mentioned, I'm a very kind of curious guy as well. So other the two of them up, and it makes a pretty good concoction for a podcast. So here we are, sitting here doing my own podcast. This is honestly crazy, by the way. Like, looking out at the cameras and all that, and the microphones, and honestly, it's pretty nuts, man. I'm just buzzing to be here. So yeah, then moving into high school, like, again, like, probably like first to fourth year, like, I wasn't really like misbehaved or anything. Again, it was probably just talking like constantly in class, and, you know, getting moved next to people and chatting away to them and putting off their work, and maybe being a wee bit of a class clown as well. But I would say maybe in like fifth and sixth year was when I was maybe more like a wee bit more kind of like misbehaved. Nothing like crazy or anything, but I just remember like just not really caring at all about school, to be honest with you. I just didn't see the point in it, to be honest with you. Like, I had no motivation or any sort of kind of drive to be there. And yeah, like, I was just kind of all over the place with everything. Like, I had no clue with what I wanted to do. I wasn't motivated in school to like study, or, you know, I would obviously like dog classes. I don't know if that's like a word that's only used in Scotland, but like bunk off of school, if you want to say, and not go into classes. And yeah, I was just kind of all over the place. And I think round about that time was probably when I started kind of going out at the weekend, which was whatever age, I can't actually remember, probably about 17 or something. I probably started going out about 16, 17. But at that time as well, it's like you're going out at the weekend and you're going into school on the Monday, and you just didn't have a care in the world. I mean, obviously, see now, for the people that know me, I would say I'm still kind of immature in the sense of like what my sense of humour is, but I've matured like so much since back then, because to be honest, like, I just didn't have a care in the world. I thought I was bulletproof, and I suppose that's what most kind of teenagers are like, isn't it? I don't want to sound like I'm somebody different or anything. I'm not. Like, and probably a lot of teenagers have went through that, but yeah, I just found that I was losing my way in school. I was, you know, going out at the weekend. I was getting up to all sorts, getting up to badness, and, you know, feeling terrible mentally as well. That time in my life was probably one of the heaviest I've ever been as well, in terms of like my weight and the way that I looked, and I just didn't really care, to be honest with you. And yeah, well, maybe I didn't care enough to actually go out and do something about it. And again, I wasn't like, you know, somebody that get picked on or get bullied or anything like that. I was in quite like a popular group and stuff, but, you know, there was like people that would say things about like my weight and maybe like pass it off as like a joke, and I would just kind of play it off as it's just a bit of patter and stuff. And then I'd go home and I'd be like, nah, that's actually really getting to me, I'm not going to lie. I would see all my pals and they were all in good shape and like young and whatever, getting buds, and I was sitting there like kind of overweight and just, yeah, feeling pretty terrible about myself. So that's just what happened in school. And I think, you know, I kind of reason why I was maybe lost all that motivation and lost all that kind of structure with my life was because I was just filling my body with shite like 24/7. Like, I was eating absolutely terribly, and I was like, honestly thinking about this the other day, looking back, no wonder I was so overweight in school. This is insane, right? In the mornings, I used to wake up and have breakfast, right? So whatever, I would have a roll and bacon. Then I would go into school, and at break, there was like a wee kind of cafe in front of my school called Buongiorno's, and I used to go in there at break. Every time I would get a roll and bacon, links and potato scone, and then they would do like these like it was called a hot chocolate softie, so it was like this kind of roll filled with Nutella that was warm. So I would have that, right? So already in the morning I've had thousands of calories. Then I would go to the shops to get sweets to do myself until lunchtime, because I couldn't have, you know, waited 2 or 3 hours until my next scran. And yeah, I would tan sweets in class, and then at lunch I would go, like, we had a chippy, we had Chinese's, we had Domino's, we had literally everything around us. So I was sometimes getting like a half pizza crunch supper for my lunch, which is insane. And then I would go home from school, no word of a lie, I would honestly tan about 5 bags of crisps. I would open all the bags of crisps and pour them into like a big bowl, eat them. Like, I cannot stress enough how much, you know, badness I was putting into my body. And then I was going out at the weekend, drinking, getting up to all sorts at such a young age as well. So you'll see what I'm talking about. I just kind of like felt like I was kind of spiraling out of control a wee bit. And not to sound kind of cocky or anything, but I've always kind of had that thing in the back of my head where I knew I was going to go on and do well and do good at something, but I just didn't have a clue what it was. I was almost kind of waiting for that moment, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was a kind of crazy time, and I left school, literally didn't really have the best qualifications at all. Again, didn't really like apply myself in school, and really had no idea with what I was wanting to do at all, to be honest with you. So yeah, there was a couple of options on the table, so that my dad helped me like apply for all these. Actually, he told me I get accepted for some uni course literally like a few months ago. So he told me I get accepted for a uni course years and years ago, and I didn't even know that I get accepted for that. And that just shows like how interested I was in my life at this point. I just did not care whatsoever. So yeah, my dad basically helped me with an application for a bank. I won't name them or anything, but a pretty massive bank worldwide. And it was an apprenticeship in, I'm going to say, financial services, all right, because yeah, it sounds like way fancier than what it was. I was just kind of working in a call centre in the bank. And yeah, when I first started that job, like, it was fun. I'm not going to lie, it was fun. We weren't actually doing anything. It was when we were getting trained. So there was another boy, Josh Brown, shout out to Josh if he's listening, but there's a guy from Renfrew that I kind of knew before. I wasn't really pally with him, but we knew of each other. So I seen him, obviously, my first day, and I was buzzing, so we formed like quite a good friendship, you know, through working together as well. And it was good having somebody there that, to get both of us through the shifts, because yeah, they were absolutely terrible. But yeah, so when we first started in there, it was good. Like we were just kind of doing the training, and you know, it was a bit of a laugh, to be fair. I was getting paid to honestly do nothing. Like, I was honestly like drawing posters and stuff like that. It was mental, but I was getting paid for it, and I was like, oh, this is class. Like, I'm kind of just carrying on like I was in school, because it was very much, we were in a classroom basically getting trained. So it was almost like, right, okay, I'm doing like school, what I've just kind of came out of. I'm in a classroom setting. I'm not really doing that much work, but I'm getting paid for it. I was like, this is actually quite good. But I just felt, you know, see when we were getting trained, I did kind of feel a wee bit that you know, the position get made out to be way more than what it actually was, like that financial services role. And, you know, they told us we're going to be working, you know, with clients and doing meetings and stuff like that. And then when we actually kind of left the training centre, then I realised, right, okay, it's just going to be like a call centre and taking calls. Now, like I said, I never really had a clue what I was going to do when I left school, but I always knew in my head it was never going to be working in an office. And that isn't me slating anybody that works in an office. If you work in an office and you want to do that and you enjoy it, that is absolutely fine, all right. And I'm the kind of person that thinks if you're doing anything, as long as you're happy doing that, then that is amazing, and you shouldn't obviously listen to what other people are saying or anything like that. But I always knew that it wasn't a me kind of job, sitting in an office doing that kind of 9 to 5 all the time. And I quickly realised when I went into the actual job, I was like, wow, like I really don't like this. And it was so like stat driven, it just felt like I was in school. And I remember, like, I only drink water, all right? I don't drink any fizzy drinks. A weird actual fact about me is I've literally never even tried, like, Coke, Iron Brew. Like, I know you're probably thinking, what is wrong with you? But I feel like I've got a phobia of it. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've got a phobia of, like, cans and, like, cans of juice. See when, oh my God, see if somebody's, like, next to me and, like, they open a can and the noise of it. Oh my God, it gives me the fear. And then see if somebody was to ask me to hold a can and there's, like, water trickling down it. Oh my God. If anybody else has got a phobia, then please let me know and we can maybe start a discussion group about it, because I feel like I'm the only one in the planet that's like that. But yeah, literally this going on a side topic. But yeah, literally all I drink is water, all right? So I would go to the toilet like a couple of times outside like my actual kind of like break and lunch or whatever, but literally there for like a good 3 minutes or so. And I get a disciplinary meeting on it for going to the toilet too much. And it wasn't even as if I was like, skiving for 15 minutes at a time or anything. Like, it genuinely wasn't. I was literally going and doing a number one, doing a pee, and then coming back to get back to my work and getting back to business. And I get a disciplinary for that. And that was just like one of the final straws. I was like, honestly, see some of the questions that they asked me, I was so surprised. I didn't even know this was happening. Like, oh, we've got a meeting. It's just like a disciplinary meeting. Like, don't worry, you're not getting fired or anything, but we just need to like talk about something. And I was like, what have I done here? Like, I honestly didn't know what I've done. I get brought into the room and they're like, do you know why you're here? And I was like, no. Like, cause I was a good worker, to be fair. And I was like, no, I don't know why I'm here. It's just to say that you've been going to the toilet too much and we really need to bring that down a wee bit. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, am I in some sort of, I don't know, what prank show? I don't know. I just thought it was absolutely crazy, like how regimented everything was. I'm like, right, okay, I'm literally going to the toilet. You can see that I'm only going for like 3 minutes and then I'm coming back. Like, I need to walk to the toilet, do a pee, zip my trousers back up, wash my hands, yes, and then walk back to the desk. And then they were like, yeah, but it's just too much time away, like from the calls, and that could be like another, 2-3 calls that you're taking. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then they're like, right, okay, so do you think there's any solutions that we can, come to potentially, stop this kind of toilet time? And I'm just like sitting here in my head, like, what is going on? What is actually, like, do you know how ridiculous you sound? They actually asked me, right? They actually asked me to stop drinking as much water at my desk. And I'm like, right, I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, but you're definitely violating some sort of human rights, violation here by telling me to not drink water. Like, that was just insane. And yeah, I was just like, I'm proper sick of this place. So at the time of working in the bank, a big distraction for me was actually going into the gym, all right? Again, I was still pretty overweight, but I just hated my career that much that, like, at the end of it, I was just, most people would maybe be like, oh, I hate my job, I can't wait to go home. But for me, it was like, oh, I really, really want this shift to be over so I can go to the gym. And I just fell in love with it. I started getting into the groove with it. I went for a couple of weeks, started getting kind of consistent with it. And yeah, I just really enjoyed going. I just loved going. I loved seeing results. Like, for a change as well, I actually started to see, differences. I was dropping a wee bit of body fat. My face was looking a bit thinner. My appearance was looking a bit better. And I got this kind of confidence about me. And every time I was in work, I was just obsessed with going to the gym. Honestly, it is all I thought about. See, when I was on calls, it is literally, all I thought about, I was researching supplements when I was like, so we had like the call and we had a computer, and I actually sat across from the manager, so I had the call here, but I was just on the computer looking up whatever about fitness and supplements and training programs and people's bodies that I wanted to look at. I was just actually obsessed with it, and I was just every shift I was just counting down the clock so that I could go to the gym. And I've seen it as a distraction away from everything and away from the career that I absolutely kind of loved, if you want to say. Now, this might sound a bit kind of dramatic, and if you're listening to this and you're maybe never kind of went to the gym, or you've never really took your kind of fitness seriously or whatever, you might kind of not understand. And yeah, you might be thinking, oh, you're going to say this, you're a PT, but I wholeheartedly believe that picking up a set of dumbbells saved my life. And I mean that. And I don't mean save my life in the sense that, I was maybe kind of like suicidal or anything, or looking to end my life. I don't mean that, but I mean save my life in the sense I was literally going nowhere. Like, I was in a job that I hated. I had no drive, no motivation. I was overweight. I had no confidence. I was just going, basically working Monday to Friday, and then every Friday, Saturday, getting absolutely wrecked, getting mad with it. It's another Scottish word for people maybe not in Scotland. Mad with it just translates to mad with it, which essentially just means you're drunk. All right, so I'm going to try and educate people outside of Scotland as the podcast goes along. But yeah, like, I was just every weekend I was just in that same constant looping routine until I found the gym, and it just gave me something to focus on. So yeah, going back to that kind of toilet situation, that was close to kind of when I left, and I came out of that meeting, I was like, nah, like, I need to do something about this. And to anybody listening to this out here as well, I think if you're in a terrible situation, you absolutely hate your job and it's making you miserable, then it's only you that can change that, all right? And I don't mean, listen, there's people in, you know, bad situations, or maybe not bad situations, that's the wrong word, but there's people in situations where, you know, it might not be as easy to do that. I was very, very fortunate, and I am aware of this. I was very fortunate that I still lived with my mum and dad, so they were going to obviously be able to support me with even a full-time career. It's not as easy for people that, you know, are maybe looking after a lot of kids, or single parents, or, you know, have a lot of these kind of huge responsibilities on their shoulder. But I do think, you know, if you're young and you're in a career that you hate, don't just settle for it. Don't just think, oh yeah, you know, I make money, so I suppose that's it. But your mental state is way more important than what, you know, getting a kind of monthly wages, all right? And if you're in a situation where you do not like, and you hate your career and you dread every day waking up and going in for it, then it's only you that can change that, and you need to change it 100%, because you're just going to spiral into a life of misery. And like I said, see, going to the gym, if I didn't go to the gym, if I didn't start going to the gym when I was working at that bank, then yeah, like I would not be sitting here right now. I would not be sitting doing this podcast to all you guys. I wouldn't have my own business. I wouldn't, you know, be posting on social media, and it all kind of ties in. Now, do I regret going to the bank, or do I regret, you know, not trying hard in school? No, I'll just be honest with you. Like, I don't really have any regrets with anything. I don't regret, you know, not really applying myself as much, and not getting the exams, and I don't regret going into the bank and spending a year of my life being unhappy there, because I feel like everything is worked in a very, very certain kind of way to now lead me into the position that I'm in just now. So I wouldn't change anything. I'm like one of these guys that thinks if, you know, you walk down a road and you took a left turn instead of a right turn, then your whole life is kind of changing pretty much, because you could then be in, you know, a different kind of situation later on that day or later on that week, etc. So it was almost like my sliding door moment, I believe, going to the bank, and I'm super grateful for it, because it showed me that I never want to do anything like that ever again. And yeah, it's ultimately led to me being in the career that I'm in just now. So I went home one night to my mum and dad, and I said, listen, I want to leave my job. And obviously at first they were a bit like, oh my God, like, you know, you're 18, you're actually earning like a decent wage for an 18-year-old. They probably seen that I could maybe, like, you know, progress in the company, if you want to call it, as well. But I had to just be honest with them, and I was like, listen, I really, really hate this place, and I do not enjoy being there, and I just want to do something about it. They then asked what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I want to go to college to study being a PT. And again, I think maybe at first they were maybe a wee bit kind of taken aback. So, right, you're leaving like a full-time career, getting paid decent, to then, you know, go back to college and to study, and, you know, you're terrible at studying. Like, they obviously knew through school. But yeah, like, I just had to do it. I had to do it, and they were very supportive of it. And I want to actually give a massive shout out to my mum and dad as well, because they had been so supportive of me. Like, do not get me wrong, like, see, when I said, I wasn't that misbehaved in school or anything, I was probably, definitely, we'll say, misbehaved back home, and they probably put up with, not probably, again, they definitely put up with a lot of shit from me, you know, temper tantrums and not going into school, and that obviously put a lot of pressure on them, like them getting phone calls all the time at work saying he's not in school, and, you know, that obviously did put a lot of pressure on them. But they've always been, like, so supportive of me. My whole family, to be fair, have always been really supportive of me as well. And again, speaking to, like, my uncle, he's very business-like as well, and I was through in Edinburgh talking to him recently, and he was saying that he always, again, kind of knew that I was bound, you know, for something, you know, more, and for something that I would really kind of fall into place and that I would absolutely love, but he just wasn't sure 100% what it was as well, and that was the same as me. But yeah, so I went home, told them that, and yeah, I applied for college that summer and started going back to college. So I started kind of working back part-time, just working in like a shopping centre and doing a few kind of different things whilst I was back at college. But yeah, college was a weird one, all right? College was a weird one. If there's anybody out here that is wanting to become a personal trainer, college is good in the sense it's obviously a free course. You don't need to pay anything for it. However, it does take 2 years to complete the course. Sometimes I do wish that I just kind of paid for the course and got it over and done with in like 5-6 weeks and get qualified and get done. It started even sooner. But again, referring back to what I said, again, I don't really kind of regret anything that I've done, because yeah, it's led me into this position. So I went to college. I'll always just be honest with you guys. I really don't think that I learned much from college, to be honest with you, and that's not really anything to do with any of the lecturers or anything, but I just feel like a lot of the things that you learn in college for becoming a PT is pretty irrelevant, and you're never ever going to use it with like an actual kind of real life client or anything. So yeah, I went there to get the qualification. Again, I was back in that kind of classroom environment again, which was quite weird. Like, I don't think I was like really misbehaved or anything in college. Obviously I was maybe a wee bit chatty, but I think that's just going to be in my nature, to be honest. But yeah, basically done the 2 years of college and got the qualification, and then that then led me to being fully qualified, and it was time to obviously get the ball rolling and announce that I was now a personal trainer. This is going to lead into what I wanted to get on next. Now, you might see me on social media, you might see me doing podcasts now and doing YouTubes and, you know, talking to my camera and looking at me and thinking, well, he's this big confident guy. Like, I have, honestly, hand on heart, I've not always been like this. And the person that you see in front of you now is probably only been around for a couple of years, all right? Because when I first qualified to become a PT, I was, terrified. I was absolutely terrified of judgment. I was terrified of what people were going to say about me and what people would think about me, and if people would like label me as a gimp, all right, which I'll go about and I'll talk about in further detail in a second. But yeah, I was just terrified. Like, I'd qualified, but I didn't get any of like my branding made. I hadn't even really decided on a name. I didn't get any of the logos made. I didn't put it anywhere that I'd fully qualified and announced that. And yeah, like, I was absolutely terrified, to be honest. And I've always been a person, to be fair, up until recently, I've always been a person where I have been really, really scared of other judgment. And, you know, I think it's such a bad kind of, I think it's a bad kind of issue, especially up in Scotland and in Glasgow. Obviously, Glasgow's where I'm from, so I don't know around about the other places. But I think in Scotland, you know, that this whole word being a gimp and this kind of, you know, gimp culture is what I've spoke about before. It's a pretty toxic kind of problem that's up in Scotland, and I do think it is getting a wee bit better now as the years are progressing. But yeah, for example, like I'd went down to England, and I go down to England quite a lot, and yeah, it doesn't really seem to be like a problem down there, but it definitely is in Scotland. I know it is in Ireland as well, because yeah, I posted a kind of TikTok previously talking about the kind of gimp culture, all right, and talking about how it seems to be in Scotland, if you do anything out of the norm, i.e. if you do anything that doesn't, you know, require going out every single weekend and getting mad with it and looking cool or whatever, then you're just labelled as like a loser and a gimp. So if you do anything that's just a wee bit out of the ordinary, like, I don't know, starting a PT page or, you know, posting on YouTube or anything like that, you're just going to get labelled as a loser and as a gimp. And you know what? I ended up getting into a point where I was just like that. Why do I actually care what people think about me? Like, honestly, why would I give, you know, two shits about what people think about me? Because if I don't value that person, I don't ever see this person, I never speak to this person, then why am I going to let this person stop me from potentially doing something that's going to elevate me, it's going to elevate my life, elevate my career? Why would I let an external opinion stop me from being who I am and doing something that I've always wanted to do? And that's the way that I've been trying to live life now for the past couple of years. So yeah, it kind of ties in. Like when I first qualified, I was just absolutely terrified of other people's judgments until, you know, I had a good conversation with, you know, my girlfriend. I had very supportive people around me, my friends, my family, and they were just like, just go for it. Like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, do you know what? You're right. Like, what am I actually waiting for? If nobody's going to get the ball rolling with this and get started with this, then who is going to do it? It's only me that can take action. And I'm going to take action. I don't want to sit about and be like, oh, I'm scared and I'm nervous and I don't want them to think I'm a loser. Why do I care? Like, and that's the kind of, you know, mindset that I've always tried to get instilled into people, instilled into like whatever people around me, my clients as well. Like, don't care what anybody else thinks about you. And I do think it is getting better. I do think it is getting better for sure. But it definitely still is a problem that I know is, you know, prevalent in Glasgow and Scotland and Ireland, when I posted that TikTok, there was so many comments and nice comments as well saying, you know, this is a real big problem. I remember there was a guy that commented on it saying that he was amazing at singing, but he never sang because he sang like one time in school and just get called like a loser. And you're like, you're the loser for calling somebody a loser, what, just because, you know, this is something a wee bit different or out the norm, that you just think it's right to label this person as a gimp or a loser. So yeah, it's just something that I've only been able to kind of master the past couple of years, and it is tough to do so. But once I got into that mindset, listen, it has been full steam ahead. I get everything made. I get my name made. I get my logo made. I get everything. I was originally called Don Fitness, so that was the very first name. I know there's a few people that still call me Don Fitness, but I was called Don Fitness. I get everything made. I posted on my Instagram for the first time. I announced that, listen, this is going to be now a business Instagram where I'll be doing my PT page. And yeah, I think throwing yourself into uncomfortable situations is the only way that your character is going to develop and grow. Even like this today, seeing the car on the way up here, I was absolutely terrified. Like, I'm being so serious with you. I was terrified to go in and record this podcast at first because, yeah, it's just something that's out of the norm. I've never done it before. I was like, what if I'm terrible and I mess up and I'm all over the place? And yeah, like you've got those kind of butterflies in your tummy with things, but those are the things that you then need to go and do. And talking about the gimp culture as well, that has been something that was massive for me on social media also, because initially I'd kind of broke past that, you know, that barrier of being worried about what people say and what people think about me, and, you know, being labelled as a loser and a gimp. So I broke past that initially to you know, start off the PT page. But I was only really kind of posting on Instagram. I was posting, you know, the typical kind of fitness, you know, content that you see on Instagram. But I always like remember thinking in my head, I was like, I would always love to be kind of big on like social media and whatever big is, you know. But I would always say that I would love to, you know, have a social media and be posting on it and to be known from it, and yeah, to have a good amount of followers and post content. But again, I was a bit nervous. I was a bit nervous about posting. I was a bit scared, and I posted maybe a few kind of, you know, videos, and they all done absolutely terrible. And then I'd be like, okay, nobody likes me, nobody wants to hear from me. I'm just gonna leave this. And then again, I was like, no, remember who you are. Remember that you don't give a fuck what people think about you. And that's the kind of mindset that now I always try and adopt. And I started posting, and lo and behold, just with a bit of consistency, my TikTok started kind of blowing up a wee bit. Like, I had quite a few like viral videos right at the beginning, and I could see like my followers kind of climbing. I went from like 400 followers to 2,000, then I hit 5k, and then I hit 10k, and I just kept going with it. But it ties back to that whole gimp culture. People are too scared and too terrified to do things that they want to do, or to post on social media and just be who they are, or, you know, if they wanted to post like wee funny things on TikTok and all that, but they'd be scared of people, you know, slagging them. Again, do not care what people say about you, all right? Because once you get into that mindset of, right, okay, I don't care about this person, I don't value them, I don't value their opinion, so why am I letting it stop me from doing something? And when you get into that mindset of, you know, I don't care what they think about me, you are going to be bulletproof, and I promise you, your life is going to improve tenfold over. I cannot stress that enough. For me personally, it has happened since I've got into that mindset of, yeah, don't care. Then everything else has fell into place. My business has been doing class. I've had like brand deals from companies. I've went down and shot adverts for people, and this isn't me trying to sound like I'm bumming myself up and, oh, look at how great you are. I don't mean that, but I just want to show you like what can actually happen and be achieved when you get into that solid kind of bulletproof mindset. Your life's going to improve tenfolds over. Because I am not daft, all right? I'm not daft. I know that there's people probably still out there that watch me, watch the recipes that I post and watch my videos and think, oh, he's a wee cringe, he's a wee gimp that makes recipes, or he's a loser on there. And I honestly, like, see, 2 years ago, I would have packed everything up and been like, do you know what, I'm stopping this because they've got the bad opinions on me. But see, now I'm just like, right, okay, I don't care. Like, I don't care if you think I'm a bit of a gimp, if you want to call it, or, you know, if you think I'm a bit of a loser or anything, because it's me now that's progressing in life, doing well for myself, business and everything else. And it's because I've stopped caring about what, you know, kind of useless people like yourself are saying or thinking about me as well. So yeah, if you could take one bit of inspiration away from this podcast today, get into the mindset of not caring what anybody thinks about you, and I promise you, your life is going to improve tenfold over. Promise you. Obviously, I got into personal training, so I qualified for PTing, and I used to work at Pro Life Fitness Centre in Paisley, best gym in Scotland. Shout out to the boys, Pro Life Fitness Centre. But yeah, I basically worked there when I was at college studying to become a PT. I ended up getting a job in that gym, and I was just doing like general, you know, kind of cleaning and, you know, fixing equipment, etc. in the gym. But I was always kind of like holding out for a space in Pro Life. I just felt really settled in there, and I think for the first time as well in like a working environment, I'd never really been anywhere that felt like a proper family environment. Like the owners of Pro Life, I absolutely love them to bits. They've been so good with me, and they look out for me, and all the staff in the gym as well. I just really got on with everybody, and yeah, it was just always like a really family feel, and it was quite like an emotional kind of place for me as well. It was where like my late grandpa used to go and train when for years on end, and the owners kind of knew him obviously like well before they knew me. So just think the place has a bit of sentiment to it. Like I feel like my mum always used to say that like she knew that like my grandpa would always be like looking down, kind of like proud on me, like that would be in the place that he used to go in, and he used to, you know, kind of hang out, if you want to call it, with his pals. And because it's Pro Life, it's not just a gym, there's like functional bits, and there's bits like there's a cafe and stuff, so it was more like a kind of social place for him. And yeah, I think it was just like a nice kind of sentiment to the place as well. So I've always kind of been in there, and yeah, I worked in there doing general gym jobs, and then basically when a space opened up for personal training, I then got the PT position so I could actually like go and fully start my career. Because I think like whenever you're starting at PT, and I know there is a lot of PTs now, it is, you know, a really saturated market, but I think, you know, when you start PTing, it's always good to go in and yeah, like actually do like the kind of one-to-one coaching first of all, and build that kind of experience of you know, actual training clients kind of face-to-face. And I really enjoyed it. Like I did love it. Don't get me wrong, it was hard work, and it was very, very kind of like long days, like pretty much non-stop. Like you were obviously at the start when you were just kind of building up your clients, your days were a wee bit quieter, but I think the struggle with being a PT is just like the kind of staggered days. Like you could be in it, you know, 5, 6 in the morning to maybe 10, and then you're going home for a couple of hours, but then you're back out maybe for 2 clients, and then you go back home, then you're back at night and doing a long shift, maybe not finishing that night till like 8, 9 at night, and then you're up early again for the next day. So it was like a lot of work. But at that point where I'd kind of first started, I wasn't really doing anything on social media. Like I said, I was posting on Instagram and stuff, but I wasn't posting on TikTok, and didn't have, you know, any of the kind of content that you might see on any of my pages now. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing the PTing, the one-to-one PTing. It was good that I met a lot of variety of different people. I dealt with a lot of kind of, you know, different issues and maybe problems and difficulties. So it just gave me a kind of taste of everything. And again, like I'm a very sociable person, so I'm somebody that likes to like engage in conversation with people as well. So yeah, I absolutely love doing the one-to-one PTing, and I just felt in such a kind of happy place, because ultimately, like the risk that I took was obviously leaving like a full-time career with the chance to progress in it and work my way up the company. But I took a risk because it isn't what I wanted to do. So I took a risk leaving that. And then I was, you know, happy and content that I was in a position where I really felt that the risk had, you know, paid off. And my kind of style of a PT is probably like a lot different to a lot of the PTs that are out there just now. I've always been a kind of lifestyle kind of guy. I come from a position where I've been overweight my whole life. I'm not, you know, one of these PTs that's been very fortunate, that's always kind of been in like okay shape, and that are now in like amazing shape. Even to this day, I'm not in like the most amazing of shapes. Like you wouldn't look at me and think, oh, he looks like a big, you know, PT with amounts of muscle and he's shredded to the bone. I'm not like that. But also it's not the kind of clientele like who I'm trying to appeal to. I am like a kind of normal guy, like without sounding kind of cliche. I'm just like a normal guy that's been through a lot of people's like difficulties and struggles, and, you know, have been overweight my whole life, so I understand how bad that can make you obviously feel, not only physically but mentally as well. So my style to PTing has always been like a kind of lifestyle approach. You know, I'm not expecting you to eat, sleep and breathe the gym 24/7, because I don't as well. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to enjoy the process. I want you to enjoy your sessions. I want you to enjoy your meals. I want you to, you know, be able to make really, really good progress whilst also still living a balanced life and enjoying ourselves, you know, having times where we're going out at the weekend as well. So that's always been the kind of style of coach that I'm. I've never been one that's, you know, going to sit and scream at people for going off track. Or I'm also not one of these PTs, like I said, that's shredded to the bone 24/7 as well. So I do understand a lot of people's difficulties, especially when it comes to weight loss and fat loss as well. Now that kind of style of coach that I was like, I want to try and get this across on social media. So I started posting on TikTok maybe in about May or June, I can't remember, probably about May 2022. So I've only really been posting for like over a year and a bit. And yeah, started posting on there. Videos were doing kind of terrible, and then like I said, like a few of them kind of went viral, and it just kind of started from there. I think it was actually a recipe that get maybe like 400,000 views or whatever, and obviously I was absolutely buzzing. I'm like, oh my god, I'm famous. I went from like 200 views to this video just popping off, and then like every video I posted, it would just do like better and better, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And my followers started growing as well. So at that point, as those things were growing, like my life was getting hectic. It was getting like a lot, because I then had the pressure of constantly posting on social media near enough every day. So like I said, I was maybe working, I was up at 5 a.m. I had clients I was maybe up in the gym for 5 a.m. So I had clients at 5, and then I might have finished at 10. And then I was coming home and thinking, right, okay, I need to record a recipe and edit that and post that today. And that takes a while, by the way. I know you might see like a wee 30-second recipe and think that takes, you know, 2 seconds, but it doesn't. See, from start to finish, the lighting, the angles, recording, editing, you know, everything, it takes hours, all right? So I was doing that, but then I would maybe have like a couple of clients in the afternoon, so I need to then go back into the gym. And then after that, I'd be coming out of the gym, out of the clients, going home, maybe like trying to record another thing, and then going back out at night, and then not getting home till like 9, 10 at night, and then I was up again the next morning at 4, 5 in the morning, and it was getting like a lot, all right? It was a lot. And I know, like, for people out there that maybe don't kind of like make content or make videos or whatever, maybe don't like understand like the actual kind of pressures of it, but there is like so much pressure to it. And I don't want to sit here and say I've got the hardest job in the world or anything. I definitely don't. I know there's a lot harder jobs out there. So yeah, I don't want this to sound like I'm moaning or complaining or anything, because I'm definitely not. But there is a lot of pressure, because you've got that pressure there of knowing that if you don't post maybe for a week or so, that people are going to quickly start to forget about you, and the algorithm might not favour you as much. So you have that constant pressure of, right, okay, I need to bang out videos. And, you know, obviously it gets to some points as well where you have mind blocks and you don't know what to post, and then you're constantly trying to think of other things to do. And it was just a lot. Like, I think I was just on flight mode the whole time. Like, I was just 24/7, and I was just in that constant routine. I was just nailing everything and literally not doing anything else with my time. But I think it started to get on top of me, and it definitely did. I remember, you know, just every single kind of day and week, I was like, this just feels like I'm reliving like the same day over and over again. Wake up early, work, eat, go home, record a video, try and train in the gym for clients, go home, train another, do another video, then train more clients at night, go to bed instantly, wake up, same thing again. It was getting a bit on top of me, and it was like, yeah, getting a bit much as well. So basically, there was a company called Linus and a guy called Nick Walsh that had been in touch with me when I started like kind of doing well on social media. I think maybe I'd hit about 20,000 followers on TikTok, and they got in touch with me and approached me saying that they could basically help, you know, kind of be like my business managers almost, and scale my business, help me gain clients, help me gain more attraction on social media, help me, you know, move kind of fully online. And I just wasn't interested at the time, because I think like I thought that they were like one of these people that was like, hey man, I'm going to absolutely transform your business into a $10 million business overnight with these 3 steps. You know, those annoying Instagram DMs that you get off of people with like 10 followers. So I thought he was like one of these guys, so I wasn't really interested. So I just kind of plodded along, went on with all the other kind of work that I was doing. And then it got to about like December, right? And this is going to sound so dramatic, all right? And I'm not meaning it to sound like this, because I know that there's people in way worse situations or whatever. But I remember going down to my car It was like 4:45 in the morning, scraping the ice, like absolutely freezing, shattered because I'd had about 5-6 hours sleep. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot do this anymore. And I was like, I'm going to have the call with Nick, with the company, and see what they're all about. So had the call, and it was really positive. And again, like, it was a bit of a risk. Like, there was obviously kind of money involved to get set up at first, and to actually kind of join the company, for them to be like your business managers and to help you out. But again, I'm a bit of a risk taker, all right. I'm like one of these people that I won't like sit about and think about things too deeply for ages. If I have an idea in my head and if I think it will work and it will sound good, then I'll be like, right, okay, let's do it. So I'm happy to take risks, and I feel like when you do take risks, they do pay off, and you usually find the reward for it. So I had to think about the call, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go for this because I really want to move fully online, and I want to do this. This is what I want to do. I can't believe, obviously, that it's happened so soon, and that's obviously all kind of thanks to the social media side of things taking over, because if I didn't start posting on social media, I would probably still just be in the gym kind of doing the one-to-one PT and the coaching. So yeah, I was just like, I'm going to go for it. So I basically kind of got everything up and running. I went down to London to meet like the company and to meet Nick. They helped me like design my own app that now all of my clients use, and also my website as well. And yeah, we just get the ball in kind of motion. We kind of like teased like the launch of like my rebranded coaching. I had to rebrand to Adam Donnelly Fitness because I actually think Don Fitness was maybe copyrighted, but I don't know. So that's why I had to change to Adam Donnelly Fitness. And yeah, we started that in January. And yeah, I think when I started in January, I was on 19 clients, maybe about 8, I can't remember. I was in between about 18 to 20 clients. And sitting here today, I'm like hovering around triple digit clients, which is kind of insane because that's literally been from January up until the point that we're at just now in about October. That yeah, I'm now on this kind of amount of clients, and again, this is not to be like, oh, look at me, look at how many clients I'm on. I just want to show you like the journey that like my business has been on, especially the journey that I've been on this year, because everything has been a bit crazy, and I'll get into it in a wee second. But yeah, going from obviously just always hovering, maybe in between about 15 to 25 clients if you're lucky, to now, being roughly on just about kind of triple digits or so, or just approaching that. It's been a lot. It's been a lot to kind of wrap my head around, because like my workload is almost like quintupled. Is that a word? Quintupled. I think it might mean quintupled or whatever. But yeah, my work is almost done that number, and it's been like kind of crazy to get my head around because I am a one-man band. So beforehand, I had all these pressures of like the one-to-one coaching, the online coaching, and then constantly posting on social media. And then I dropped the one-to-one coaching to then have the pressure now of being even bigger on social media, so get even more pressures to post on it now, whilst also, dealing with every single one of the clients that I've got as well. So yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy journey. Obviously, I'm not complaining about it. Like, I love the position that I'm in, the situation that I'm in. I'm ecstatic with how much like the business has grew, but I put a graft in. I have put a graft in, and I've been posting on TikTok. Not that I was like one of the OGs or anything. I don't mean that, but probably like round about like my area, I've been like one of the kind of people that kind of has been posting on TikTok for a good while now. And I remember everybody always saying the same thing. They're like, mate, you deserve it because you do put a graft in. Like, you're posting 2-3 times a day on it, sometimes staying super consistent. Like, you're always there. And I did. I was obsessed with it. I was absolutely obsessed with it, just constantly doing better, like seeing those followers grow up and seeing my clients grow up. I just always want more and more and more. And yeah, that actually leads me on to something that I wanted to talk about, because it's really super important that you actually take a step back to realise like how far you've came in life, all right? Because, when you achieve things, like, you need to take a step back and reflect on it, or else you're never going to be feeling satisfied with what you do. Because I've always been like one of these people that's always been striving for more, and say like I maybe hit like a goal or a milestone that I wanted to achieve, and then I hit that and I get like that kind of quickly instant dopamine rush where I'm like, oh yeah, I've achieved that, but it would look so much better if I was on 30k followers, or if I was on, I've achieved 50 clients. That's amazing. That was my goal. But I wish I was on 60. And if those people didn't drop off, then I could have been in 70. And I'm always like one of those people that's always just looking ahead. But that also kind of takes the shine away from achieving things, because you set out yourself goals for things, and then when you then achieve that, you're then a bit like, oh, a bit deflated, because you're just thinking about what's next. So I've been trying to kind of get better at that, getting better at, taking a step back and realising that, right, okay, you're on track, you're on the right path, you're achieving goals. So realise that, enjoy it at the time, and then you get back to business and go for it as well. Life has been going really, really good, and obviously it's dramatically changed. Like, when I first started posting on TikTok around about the May 2022, I don't know if anybody's seen my Branston advert. So Branston Pickles asked me to come down to London and to shoot an advert for them, fly me down to London and everything. And even that was so hard to wrap my head around, because I started posting on TikTok May 2022, started going decent, and I think I was in London for, I don't know, maybe the start of August, end of July, start of August 2022, I can't remember, and being in front of cameras and getting my makeup done and everything, it was just absolutely crazy. It was mental to wrap my head around, and obviously looking back at how much the business has grown, it has been a bit kind of crazy, and, life has been, mental. It has dramatically changed for me, and I'm not complaining, obviously. But it also does come with some negatives, which I want to talk about. And this is actually going to be a wee bit difficult for me to talk about, because I've literally never spoke about this before, like never spoke about it in social media or anything like that at all. But this was something that probably happened maybe 2-3 months ago, that I've been dealing with, pretty bad anxiety, and I probably still do at times to a point. I'm definitely way better now, like I'm much more kind of chilled now, but like 2-3 months ago, it was like really, really scary, really scary. In fact, I'll take you back to the beginning of when this kind of started. So I've always been like one of those people, and I was like, oh yeah, like mental health would never happen to me, or I would never have anxiety or anything like that. I've always, I like being like that kind of person where I feel so sorry for people that happens to, and I've just never really had a grasp on it or understood it, because it's never happened to me, and I never thought it would happen to me as well. So like I said, I've obviously kind of given you the background of my kind of story and everything that's kind of went on, and how crazy everything's been. And I think, at a point, it's just kind of built up and built up and built up, and almost I've reached kind of boiling point, where then like it actually kind of mess me up mentally, yes, but then which led to actually me feeling terrible physically as well. So yeah, this is going to be weird. I've literally never spoke about this before. So I think the anxiety pretty much started. I definitely have really bad health anxiety, all right. I'm a bit of I am a hypochondriac, and I've always been probably one of these people that maybe if there was something wrong with me, like instantly in the kind of back of my head, I just instantly kind of thought I was dying, which is kind of weird, but there probably will be like people out there that relate to me. But yeah, so I started noticing this wee kind of small lump on my neck, and it was like just really, really small, and it started kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was like, oh, right, okay, like that's a wee bit kind of weird. I better get that seen to. But I just kind of like put it off, and yeah, never really done anything about it. I was just like, right, okay, like that's fine, lumps there, whatever. And then this was at a point when I was still working in the gym. This is still kind of 1-to-1 in the gym, and I was crazy sessions, like the crazy hours that I was telling you about, making social media all the time. Just, it was absolutely mental. So then I was in the gym one time, and I was going to Madrid actually the following day after. So I was basically doubling up on everybody's sessions that week. So I was literally in the gym from about 6 in the morning to about 9 at night for like 2 weeks in a row. It was absolutely crazy. And yeah, like I went into the cafe, and one of the girls was like, oh, you're right, you look like really, really grey. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was honestly like chalk white. It was like scary. And then I just started feeling like my legs going like really, really kind of like jelly, and just feeling like, oh my God, like I'm going to pass out here. And it was so weird, like I'd never really had that feeling before. And I went through, and I get like a protein bar and Lucozade and all that or whatever. And then I went into bed, but like the feeling wouldn't leave. It almost felt like my full body was like shutting down on me. Like that's how I can describe it, because I don't really know how else to describe it. Yeah, it just felt like my whole kind of body was shutting down. Like I couldn't stand up without feeling that I was just going to pass out and faint, and I was dizzy all the time, and my legs were really, really weak as well. And yeah, like that basically kind of stretched on. I went to Madrid with my dad, and that kind of stretched on, and not that it kind of ruined the whole, well, I suppose it did, because, I suppose it did, because, yeah, I was in that in a weird way, like, I didn't really want to, like, leave bed, because, like, when I was in bed and lying down, that was the only time that I didn't really feel like I was going to faint, and, yeah, like, I was in Madrid, and then, like, my heart would start racing out my chest, like, having really bad, like, heart palpitations, and it was just like scary. Like, I'd literally never like experienced anything like that before, and seeing I was in that state, looking back on it now, like, it was obviously just having really bad anxiety and really bad like panic attacks without me knowing what it actually was. So then obviously I then thought of the neck, and I'm like, this is definitely linked. I've got like a tumour or something, like this is definitely linked, and I'm ill and I'm dying, and I literally just talked myself into the fact that I was probably dying. Right, I know it might sound crazy. So then I got some doctor's appointments, but then the doctors just kept fobbing me off and off and off. I was like, right, first of all, we were kind of dealing with the issue of feeling kind of faint and stuff, but that had started to kind of like ease off like a wee bit after Madrid. It would kind of come and go in like spells. But then I was like, right, can you please get my neck examined? And then they were like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about and all that. Like, just come back if it's still there in a few weeks. So I was like, right, okay. So went away, a few weeks happened, was still there, went back, just kind of like examined it again and felt like the kind of lump in my neck, and was like, right, okay, yeah, it's, again, really don't think it's anything serious to worry about, just if anything else maybe kind of flags up. And I was like, right, okay, but I'm a wee bit nervous about it. Told him that doctor really wasn't nice, so I was like, listen, I'm going to another doctor and maybe try to get like a second opinion or something. And then again, he kind of said the same thing. So most logical people in that situation would just have took that as like, right, okay, you're fine, right? Everything's fine. But the way that obviously now that I understand how my head works and operates is I instantly go to the negative, and I instantly just think that there's something extremely wrong with me as well. I wasn't really happy with that, and I was just like that, right, okay, I'm going to go to like a private doctor's and get this properly examined. Now, they examined it and said, listen, it looks kind of fine, but we'll do some tests on it, obviously, just to like double check. But then that appointment was then not until like another kind of 3 months or so. So over this kind of like stretch of time, this was probably roughly from October 2022 to then maybe up until about May 2023. All right. So this whole kind of time, not that it like consumed my life, that it was like all that I was thinking about, but I just, yeah, kind of instantly thought that there was like something wrong with me. And this whole time, no matter how many doctors told me, you know, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. I'd heard horror stories before, and I didn't want to be, you know, like one of those horror stories as well. So I could never have really like, you know, I was sitting there in the meetings or whatever, and they were telling me this and telling me it was fine, but I could never really like take it in and yeah, like understand that what they were saying, you know, was right because they were doctors. So yeah, I wanted to get it checked, so I get it fully examined, and I get sent to another kind of private doctor's probably about in May 2023, just there, and get to like examined fully, like get the ultrasound, stuff like that on it. And then yeah, they went away, had a look at it and stuff, came back, and then the doctor told me, all right, okay, it's literally nothing to worry about. And at that moment in time there, I honestly just burst out into tears in front of him, because for this whole it was just like this weight off my shoulder, because for so long now I was like, oh, I just thought there was something like so severely wrong with me and seriously wrong with me. And I was like, everything in my life has been amazing, right? Everything finally has been falling into place, and you know, my business is doing well, and I'm in the career that I love, and I've, you know, just in such a good spot with life right now that I thought it was all just going to come crashing to an end, and I wasn't going to have an opportunity to have a future and to do all these kind of things and to have all these opportunities. So that was constantly weighing in my mind. So when he came back and told me that the results came back all clear and it was literally nothing to worry about, honestly, it was just like this most massive relief off my shoulder. And yeah, after that, I just felt good. I felt this kind of newfound, like, again, like I had, you know, that big massive weight off my shoulders, and I could go on and carry on life and whatever. So at that point as well, I was also doing a fitness photo shoot. So I was doing a fitness photo shoot from January 2023, the start of this year, up until pretty much like the 1st of June. So, you know, I had to remember I had a lot going on in terms of like creating social media, in terms of my business going absolutely crazy, all the commitments and everything that I had to do and completing all the work that I had. So I had all of that weighing down on me. But then I also had the pressure of, right, okay, you need to stay 100% on track. So for anybody that doesn't know what a fitness photo shoot is, it's essentially where you get like into like your best shape ever. You know, you're really, really lean, you've got abs, you get a tan on, and then you go and get like professional pictures taken like in a gym. So it was always something that I wanted to do, just to kind of see if like I could dedicate myself to something like that for so long, and I did, obviously. And it was about like 5 months worth of dieting, so it was a long time. So I probably had the busiest point in my life and the busiest point in my career, and everything was picking up, but then I had no sort of like outlet. I had no sort of kind of stress outlet where maybe I could go out with, you know, my girlfriend for a dinner, or like go out with my pals for drinks. Like I had nothing. I just felt that I was in this same, you know, constant loop 24/7. I had all these pressures of all my clients and the social media and the photo shoot and having to be perfect with my meals and nailing everything and not missing training sessions. So everything, I think, just collectively, you know, built up and built up and built up. So yeah, June happened. I went to Ibiza, had an amazing time. I went to Barcelona. It was amazing because obviously, like I said, I'd went through a long period of time of pretty much having zero enjoyment, to then going Ibiza was a mad one. Going away in Barcelona was a good trip as well, getting away. And then I came back from then, and that feeling of my body shutting down was the same feeling that I had when I was run down from taking all those clients back in October. And I felt that way. But see, when that was happening to me, again, probably like a logical person would have then thought, no, like you're maybe just run down, you're burnt out, you've been, you know, burning the fume in both ends, if you want to say. And this is probably just all kind of building up and getting on top of you. But I didn't think that. And as soon as like I started feeling this, I just couldn't understand why I go through phases of being okay, and then times where I honestly feel like I'm dying, like my whole body feels like it's shutting down. I'm standing up and I need to sit down because I feel like I'm going to pass out and faint, and my heart's racing out my chest. And then of course I start, you know, reading things online and looking things up, which is the worst thing to do, by the way. Do not do that, especially if you're like a hypochondriac like me. If there's something wrong with you, do not go to Google, all right? Because yeah, you're just going to make yourself 10 times worse. But this was happening like a lot, and yeah, it kind of came on, and I was like, oh God, I feel like that again. That's so weird. Why do I feel like that? And what's wrong with me? And then as the days went on and on and on, it just progressively worse and worse and worse. I think I was actually in church, and I was standing up, and my heart was honestly like thumping out my chest, and my legs like jelly go pure chalk white again. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to leave, and I'm sitting in my car, and I'm just like again, crying my eyes out, thinking, what is wrong with me? Like, what is actually up with me? There must be something seriously ill with me, and something seriously wrong with me. So yeah, it kept happening. I was like, I need to go to the doctors about this. And I was leading up into going into the doctors. I was probably going in with a closed mindset, thinking he's not going to know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what I'm feeling like. He's not going to have the answer to this. And I just convinced myself that I didn't have much time left in the planet, and that was, you know, massively stressing me out. So went in, and I had such a good conversation with this doctor, and he basically labelled everything out. So I told him everything exactly how I've just told you guys, and he was like, yeah, you've got anxiety. And I was like, nah, I've not got anxiety. I actually said that. I was like, listen, I've not got anxiety, mate. And he was like, yes, you do. You've got anxiety. You're having panic attacks, and you're experiencing burnout. And burnout is an actual thing, all right, which I've Googled. So when you're burnt out, it's basically when you've been maybe so like work orientated, and you've not really had a break, and you've, you know, had so many things going on through your mind, and 1,000,001 things racing through your head, that everything just builds up and builds up and builds up, and collectively you get to a point where it all comes out, but in a bad way. So yeah, I basically had a conversation with this doctor. He spoke to me about everything, spoke to me and put it in like a you know, a really kind of clear way, and yeah, a way that I would be able to see because in that time, like I said, I was going in there with such a closed mind. And also as well, by the way, the reason that I want to talk about this is not to get any sort of sympathy or any sob stories or anything like that. And I know that there's people out there that deal with much, much worse mental health problems than me, all right? So this isn't me looking for pity or anything, but what it is I found real comfort knowing that other people had been through the exact same thing as me, because it can be really scary. See, having like those panic attacks where you feel like you're going to die and your whole body's shutting off, it can be terrifying, and it can be like, you know, nothing feels like it's going to make you feel better. But what made me feel better was having the confidence and having the comfort there, knowing that, you know, somebody and other people have been through the same as me and been through similar positions as well. So that was good, and that's why I want to talk about this as well. Like I said, I want to talk about this in case there's other people in the same situation that maybe are very confused and they think there's something up with them and they think that they're dying or anything like that, and you're not, all right? You're not. You're just have a bit of health anxiety, you're just a wee bit scared about that, and that is it, all right? So he basically, like, the doctor painted, he drew on a bit of paper that makes it sound like I walked into the doctor's and he's sitting there with his canvas and his paints, his water paints and all that. So he just drew a picture, and it was pretty much a pressure cooker, all right? And it was an empty pressure cooker, like one of the slow cookers or whatever. So he drew a line at the bottom of it, literally just where the bottom was, and then he drew a wee line right above it, and he said, right, okay, this is you at 14 years old, sorry. What pressures did you have when you were 14? And he said, does this girl fancy me? And, you know, am I going to get this new player in FIFA or whatever? So you didn't have really any stresses at all. Even though that you might have thought that the world was coming to an end back then when you were a teenager, you had no stresses, all right? There was no real kind of responsibilities there that you could stress about. And then he drew a line just slightly above, and he's like, right, okay, this is when you're 18, so a wee bit more stress is like, what am I going to do? And, you know, finishing school, but what were you doing? I was like, I was just going out every weekend. And he was like, right, okay, so you had that kind of release there where you were just going out and drinking every weekend. You were young, yeah, you maybe had a wee bit more pressures and you were building, but, you know, they're still not that you know, prevalent. And then he drew another line, and it's like, okay, you're moving into your 20s and your 21s, and yeah, the pressure and that's building, you know, what job is it that I'm going to do? Am I happy in my career? And yeah, you've got a few more kind of stresses. Now, he kept kind of doing that, and he drew the kind of top of the pressure cooker, and that was like the kind of boiling point. And in that kind of point, he was like, right, this is usually roughly when you're maybe about your mid kind of 30s, or in your 30s, you're maybe married and you've got kids, and then that's when like stress is really, really high. Like you've got all these kind of things going on. But he basically said like my stress was pretty much like at the brim, all right? So if you imagine the pressure cooker, mine was like at the brim, and it was almost like pushing the lid off, almost. That's how much kind of pressure and stress I was under. And it was so good just seeing that in like a way that I could relate to, because he was like, again, not to sound kind of, you know, cocky or whatever, but he was basically saying, look at everything that you're doing. You've got all of these clients, you're running your own business, you're starting other businesses, you've got your hand in other things, you've got the pressures of social media, you've got the pressures of posting all the time, and you've got even pressures of having things like your friends and family and, you know, partners. Like obviously every one of them are good, but you obviously have those pressures there of wanting to do well by that person, and so you've got a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You've not had any sort of kind of stress reliever there in place, so everything's just been building up, collecting up, and then it's took its toll on you. So that is why you've been having these kind of episodes. And after that, I was just like, oh, like that makes so much sense. Every time that this has been happening, it's been in points in my life where my stress levels have been crazy and through the roof and absolutely mental. So it was so comforting to hear, right, okay, it's got nothing to do with my neck. I'm not ill. I'm not seriously ill with anything. And you're just a wee bit stressed, and you've got a lot of shit on your plate, and you've got a lot of pressures on your plate as well. So with the business and everything that's been going on, like I said, I've had an absolutely amazing year. But at the same time, it does come with its difficulties and its struggles. And this is why I wanted to do the podcast as well, because I know that there'll be so many other people out there that are in the same position as me, like the guests that I'm going to have on. And I know that I'm aware that people look at me as someone that they maybe like look up to. They'll see like me on like TikTok and social media, and they'll take maybe advice from me. I obviously do have like a kind of platform. I'm not saying like I'm pure massive on social media, because I'm not, but I realise that I have a platform and I want people to be able to relate to me and potentially relate to things that I've went through, and that's why I want to talk to you guys about them as well. Like I said, it's nothing to do with pity or anything. Literally, I don't care about any of that, but I just want to, because I know that I've taken a lot of, like I said, good comfort, and knowing that other people have been through the exact same positions as me, and, just to chill out a wee bit more and relax and take a bit of time to actually work on yourself as well. And a massive thing that I done that's made me feel so much better was just going into the gym, all right? And again, I don't mean to sound like pure typical kind of cliche PT, but going into the gym, using that as a distraction, as an outlet away from everything, doing sessions, keeping my body moving, eating good food, making sure that my nutrition's on point as well, and getting out walks, and just taking times now to actually work on myself and have a bit of time to kind of chill and relax at times, because I'm obviously somebody that's crazy busy all the time. I'm one of these guys that I do have a bit of a kind of, I feel like my brain is a wee bit kind of weird. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like, my brain operates differently to kind of a lot of people. And again, not in like a way like, oh, I'm above everybody, but I'm just one of these guys that just can't sit still, and I'm like a million miles an hour 24/7. And even though that I understand now that like all of this pressure builds up on me, I still do everything anyways. I'm like, oh, cool, let's start a podcast. You know what I mean? Like most people, Adam, you've got a lot on your plate, but I just don't see that. And I'm constantly just thinking, right, how can we grow? How can we get bigger? How can we get better? How can we, progress and do amazing things? So that's always at the forefront of my mind, and that's why I always want to keep going. But now I've realised, right, okay, you need to take a step back every now and then, take time to work on yourself, to clear the head, because if you are constantly on flight mode, that flight is going to come crashing down at some point. Whereas if you can, be on a plane, but take wee breaks and come back to it and go to other destinations, if you want to say, then everything's going to be so much better. You're going to be way more productive. Everything's going to fall into place so much better as well, because you're allowing yourself to actually take time and think. Like I said, I went to Dubai and actually had a couple of weeks just to kind of chill and think, rather than being so work orientated and social media orientated. That I actually found that I had way more ideas actually just taking time aside from everything as well. So definitely make sure that if you're a busy person, that you're taking a bit of time and working on yourself for sure. Everything that's kind of happened recently as well with all that has just made me realise that like life is too short, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast. I'm like, do you know what, I just needed to grab it by the horns and go for it. All right, so yeah, I'm super buzzing. I'm not actually sure how long this podcast is going to be. I'm going to start to wrap it up just now, because I just basically kind of wanted to talk about it, the podcast and the exact reasons why I started it, and what the future has in store. Because again, not to sound kind of cocky, but I'm confident in this. Like, I'm really, really confident that this is going to be, really successful. I've got a lot of big guests lined up for it. I know that I'm going to have really good conversations with everybody as well. So I couldn't be more buzzing to actually just, throw myself, like I said at the start of the podcast, out of my comfort zone. And whenever you do, get yourself and make yourself uncomfortable, then that's when you'll notice your life just improve tenfold over. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and that's the only way that you're going to grow and develop as a person, 100%. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for sticking to the end of my first podcast and hearing about me, hearing about my life, hearing about my story as well. These podcasts are going to be coming out weekly, every Thursday. I'm going to aim to have them on Spotify and on my YouTube, the Don Diaries as well. So make sure that you're tuning in there. Keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram. Make sure that you are following my Instagram so that you can see the guests. I will be revealing the guests on the week of the podcast, and I really do have some big names lined up, and I cannot wait to have some good conversations with everybody and dive in deeper, unlocking diary entries, one conversation at a time. Also, in terms of Instagram, make sure you've entered the giveaway to celebrate the launch of the Don Diaries by winning a £200 My Protein voucher, where you can buy anything, supplements, clothes, whatever your heart desires. So make sure you've liked the post, you've followed both of the pages, and also shared it to your story, and you will be in with the chance of winning a voucher. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to get the podcast proper up and running. Thanks, guys.